The CW's primetime lineup is filled to the brim with the superheroes of the DC Universe.
Now, one group of podcasters takes to the airwaves to sift through the exciting and dynamic world of the DC Universe.
Get ready to journey to the worlds of The Flash, Supergirl,
Arrow, and DC's Legends of Tomorrow.
From the creators of the Hangin' With Web show,
it's the Just Us Watchtower. Here's your host,
Kevin J. Kessler.
Watchtower is online.
My name is Kevin J. Kessler. I'm an author of fantasy, action, adventure, and an avid geek and fan of the DC Universe, particularly that of the CW DC Arrowverse, as people like to call it. So every week here on the Just Us Watchtower, we like to dive deep into the events of what have been going on for the last week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever's been happening. Greg Berlanti universe over there on the CW. But I can't do that alone, so to do this, I always bring in my partner in crime, the one and only from the UWA Elite Professional Wrestling territory up there in New Jersey, Dave Swan.
Territory? Oh, I like that.
Yeah. I've been planning that one for like a week to call it a territory.
Yeah, I'll take that.
That's going to go to all the marketing now.
I've got the Central New Jersey territory on lock.
You got the South River, New Jersey territory, like right there.
Yeah, it's one of the hottest contested territories in New Jersey.
Oh, absolutely. You better watch out or Vince is going to come in and snatch you up. So we have 2 weeks to catch up on with the CW DC shows here because we took last week off. However, we only have 2 shows to catch up on, 2 episodes of each, but we're only talking about The Flash and Arrow this week.
So it's like a normal schedule.
Yeah, pretty much. Supergirl was dark for the last 2 weeks. Legends of Tomorrow has been dark for quite a while, and it's still going to be dark for quite a while. So without, I think we should jump right in with The Flash, Season 5, Episode 13, Goldfaced. So I hated this episode so much. It was just nothing. It was a waste of time.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, we'll get into the other episode in a minute, but yeah. I mean, both of these episodes were kind of filler episodes at their worst.
And that's the problem I'm having with this season of The Flash. I feel like when it hits, it really hits. Like, they have really good like points, but it's feeling a little Walking Dead this season. And what I mean by Walking Dead is it's being written like The Walking Dead, save all the shock death. Like, The Walking Dead has like 2 or 3 really big episodes, and everything between them is always nothing happens. It's all crap. Like, you're treading water until you kill enough time to get to the next big thing. I don't mean Brock Lesnar.
Yeah.
So I like that Sherlock is aware that there is a Nora accomplice here. I found the concept of, oh, well, the one way to get this hardened detective off your case is to just flash some boobs in front of him.
All right, well, I will say this. I do like that he's married the same woman 5 times on
5 versions of the same woman, but 7 marriages. So
yeah,
2 of them he's married twice.
Yeah, I mean, I did enjoy that. I thought that was clever. But
yeah, I mean, right. So I really did enjoy that. I liked the dynamic between him and her. But kind of going in order for this episode, I like as someone who's worked in journalism in the past, as someone who writes for a living, I get really, really annoyed at their portrayal of Iris because, like, Barry's like, Iris, you're a real journalist, and I'm like, no, she's not. She's a blogger who just happens to be like, now I'm a newspaper. No, you're not.
Well, blogs are the new newspaper.
Kind of, but you actually used to actually need credentials to be a journalist.
Oh yeah, and I don't disagree with you there. I don't disagree with you at all that her credentials are lacking, and I don't actually know what she writes about. Like,
clearly it's not. Yeah, clearly
it's not. Transcribe what the Flash did that week.
Pretty much.
Is that her blog?
I mean, that's always been what it is. But, I mean, clearly she's not writing about union reform because the poor guy thought he was coming in to talk about a subject that he's passionate about and somebody actually cared, and all she wanted to do was grill him about Cicada.
Yeah.
Grill him about Cicada and then take credit for the defeat of DeVoe.
Yeah.
I'm like, where do you get off, lady? You did nothing to beat DeVoe.
Hey, she's the team leader, and the team leader gets credit.
Right. So I didn't like that little bit of gotcha journalism. I really hope that after like that whole bit ended, she actually did interview the poor guy about union reform, because come on. Could Nora have been any more obvious to Sherlock, to the world's greatest detective? Sorry, Batman. That she's trying to distract him.
No.
This is a guy that knows that somebody has a corgi at home by looking at them.
Yeah.
and she is not doing a good job of hiding her, like what she is trying to do here.
No, and ultimately, I don't mean to jump ahead to the following week, but I think since we're covering 2 weeks at the same time, it's hard not to. It was all totally pointless. So she launches this scheme to get him to fall in love so that she's not focusing on her anymore.
Right.
And then at the end of the episode, Wells Dawn is like, oh, now we can move on with our plan perfectly. And then the next week, Sherlock is side-eyeing her every time she opens her mouth once again. So
yeah, of course. It is the worst plan in the history of plans. I can't believe like Trump is more skilled at deflecting than Nora West Allen.
Yeah.
So let's talk about Barie and Ralph as kind of a duo here. So the first thing I want to talk about this episode of The Flash is that it's an entire episode of The Flash with no Flash.
Yeah.
He's not the Flash at all, except for the very, very end, because he's wearing the power dampener for the whole thing.
Yeah, and again, not to jump ahead, but it's 2 weeks in a row where we get no Flash.
Well, that's the thing. Like Nora has a line in the second week's episode. She's like, "What are we going to do for an hour without the Flash?" I said, "Well, what did we do for an hour without the Flash last week, Nora?" So Barie and Ralph going undercover for Goldface, which if you are a fan of The Office, you know that Golden Face was the character Jim Halpert played in Michael Scott's Threat Level Midnight. So the entire time, all I'm thinking is, and Swan's not going to get this, but all I'm thinking is, on your mark, get set, die. And I was really
I don't know what any of those words you just said were.
Yeah, it's from The Office, and like I'm really shocked they went with someone named Goldface, and didn't give him a gold face.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, he had the gold underneath his face, but, like, don't call him Goldface if he's not going to have a gold face. Just my opinion. He fell so flat for me, extremely one-dimensional, even for a Freak of the Week. This is the second Amorette reference we've gotten in the last couple weeks, which really has me worried that her and her bucket of nuts and bolts are going to be back.
Oh, she's coming like a freight train, Kevin.
The last thing we need is more Amorette. Like, that was such a horrid departure last season. I mean, and you know what? I probably sound like I hate The Flash. I don't. It's my favorite show. I love The Flash. I love when The Flash is good. This is not a week where The Flash is good. You want to hear the thing that made my head completely explode?
Go for it.
So we're dealing with no power Barie, and no power Barie is usually pretty fun to deal with because Barie is very slow and he has no coordination whatsoever. Ralph asks him to throw him a brick. Barie throws it and it hits the guy, and he's like, "Why didn't you throw it to me?" And he's like, "I was trying to." So we've established this right off the bat, right? So you'd think that when the big firefight happens at the end, it's going to be really hard for this uncoordinated, natural, non-metahuman Barie to be in a firefight with trained mercenaries. But if I can borrow a phrase that I've been hearing a lot lately, actually it's super easy, barely an inconvenience.
Yeah.
He was Rambo.
normally in sitcoms, when something like this happens, that the episode would have opened up with, like, Barie and Cisco playing laser tag, and them establishing that Barie is, like, an awesome shot, or something like that.
Yeah, but they do the opposite. They establish that he's terrible at aim.
Yeah, and Barie, who, to my knowledge, has never shot a gun in the Flash.
No,
I can't remember him ever using a gun.
Mm-mm. Then all of a sudden,
and it goes into like this.
Good.
This like first-person shooter, like really weird video game, like it was just very weird. It felt flat to me.
Berlantiverse, because they are. Like, you know, like they don't like guns in the Berlantiverse, clearly, but they completely fetishized it. But it was almost kind of like G.I. Joe or the early Spider-Man cartoon when they couldn't show bullets on TV, so they were all firing blue and red lasers at each other.
Yes, yeah, the G.I. Joe rule.
Yeah, it was a ref. Like I felt like it was almost a reference to that. Yeah. So that bothered the heck out of me. That like all of a sudden. Barry's just, and here's the thing, Ralph, I can understand it with Ralph because Ralph was a detective. He was a police officer. He would have had to have trained in firearms. Like, I get Ralph being a really good shot. However, Ralph is the one that they felt the need to explain it away with some meta line about playing Red Dead Redemption 2.
Yes. Yeah.
Which by the way, I'm currently playing Red Dead Redemption 2 and it auto aims for you.
Okay.
Yes. So yeah. I don't want to hear it, right?
One of my biggest problems with the Berlantiverse, it always bothers me, and for whatever reason, I just can't, like, turn it off, is, like, these anti-meta, like, cuffs and anti-meta, because of the... All right, I'll buy it in, like, say, the X-Men, where somehow it negates like the X gene.
Right, like the Genosha collars.
Yes, sure. I can buy that. But in the Berlantiverse, everybody gets their powers from a different source. Like, and somehow this thing can magically turn off Supergirl's powers and the Flash's powers, even though they're two totally different power sets. That originated totally different ways.
Yeah, don't look for logic here because you're not going to find it. Okay, so we are going to take a quick commercial break and we'll be right back with more Flash right after this.
Best-selling and award-winning author of true crime and crime fiction, Yvonne Mason is back with a brand new book, The Pink Canary, a book that delves into the life of a drag queen and a marvelous whodunit. You can find this and all of Yvonne's other works on Amazon.com or find Yvonne Mason on Facebook and Twitter.
He's gonna kill me.
Buy your copy of Pink Canary now.
Joanne Fisher's The Spanish Doll. Secrets in Italy? Oh yes. Her beauty strikes him like a thunderbolt sent by the goddess Venus. When Fiore is given a peculiar gift, a Spanish doll, she is thrown into a whirlwind of entangled passion, money, secrets, and love. Get swept away today by hanging with web show featured author Joanne Fisher's The Spanish Doll. Available now on Amazon.com.
Every year, tens of millions of people flock to Florida for its sunny beaches and world-famous tourist attractions. Most never learn about the strange and unusual locations just off the beaten path. From the UFOs of Gulf Breeze to Robert the Haunted Doll in Key West. Learn about the myths, monsters, and legends from the dark side of the Sunshine State with author Mark Muncy and illustrator Carrie Schultz in their books Eerie, Florida and Freaky Florida from the History Press. Find them at EerieFlorida.com or wherever books are sold.
Now on Amazon.com. War Calls, Love Cries, a Civil War novel by Mark Barie. Isaac Wells is an innocent farm boy living in upstate New York. His dreams are shattered by a treacherous brother and the onset of a devastating civil war. War Calls and Love Cries is a fast-moving historical narrative. It is an emotional roller coaster ride and a riveting must-read book that you will think about and talk about for a long time to come. War Calls, Love Cries is the kind of book you will cherish for a lifetime. On Amazon.com today.
And now, back to your host, Kevin J. Kessler.
Welcome back to the Watchtower, everybody. We're still talking about The Flash, and the one thing I wanted to bring up about this first Flash episode of the week, before we move on to the next one, is Iris's big infiltration mission into Cicada's house.
Okay.
Because Iris fares better against Cicada than any of the superheroes have.
Yeah.
And then stabs him with his own dagger, and then just reveals that she works with the Flash by saying, "We're going to stop you," and then she leaves. Just leave. He's down.
Yeah.
Where are those meta cuffs? Slap one on his wrist. You've got him.
Yeah. This was a stupid Iris moment, if there ever was one.
In a world of stupid Iris moments, this might be the stupidest Iris moment.
Yeah,
I truly believe that, because it was so dumb. And is it I know that we kind of established that Grace isn't a perfectly good soul in the last episode, but when she broke Grace's dollhouse, I was like, "Ah, bitch." and then at the end of the episode, the one thing that when Sherlock was going off, or when he's researching how to stop Cicada because he realized the girl's a meta, Nora gave the most infuriatingly smug smile. Did you see that?
Yeah. Yes.
I was like that. I was slowly at that point coming around to your school of thought that Nora is terrible. But the last thing about this episode, for real this time, is the Metacure. Remember Caitlin's one thing about the Metacure?
Yes, was you can't use it unless you get their permission.
Right, and now they're let's use it on Cicada without his permission, and she has not voiced one concern about this.
Yeah, which
yeah, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, this is kind of what I was dreading from the word go, was the whole, do we use the cure, do we not use the cure, infighting thing. So I'm not going to complain if we don't go down that route, because that trope is so worn out that I don't think I could deal with it again. But yeah, I mean, you establish that Caitlin is against using it on people against their will, but unless it benefits the team.
Yeah, absolutely. I gave this episode, by the way, a 5 out of 10.
I would match that.
Yeah, 5 out of 10 seems about right. It was just there. There was nothing really to it. It didn't advance the plot in any way, shape, or form, except Iris stupidly revealed her identity to Cicada.
Yeah, well, and proof is, when we were doing the prep for this episode today, I had to ask you what the plot of last week's Flash episode was.
Yeah,
because it was so forgettable.
And the plot, my answer to you was Sherlock needs a girlfriend.
Yep, and that about covers it.
Moving on to the next episode, The Flash, Season 5, Episode 14, Cause and XS. This has got to be, Swan, in your list of the top 3 worst Flash episodes of all time.
Oh my God, yeah. All right, so first of all right, I appreciate them doing a Happy Death Day themed episode the week that Happy Death Day comes out. But the fact that Nora was the focus of the entire episode was like nails on a chalkboard for me.
Oh, was it a Happy Death Day thing?
Yeah, or Groundhog's Day, but the fact that it aired the day that Happy Death Day to You comes out seemed like less of a coincidence.
Yeah, for me, my whole thing is Legends did a Groundhog Day episode last season, and they knocked it out of the park. This was so cringy because here's the thing. I wrote it in, and the theme of this episode is Nora doesn't know what she's doing and is incompetent. She ducks the dagger and it hits Caitlin. Or, she moves Caitlin out of the way, but it hits Sherlock. And in big, bold letters, over and over again, I wrote in my notes, ask for help.
Yeah,
like it takes her 52 failed attempts to finally be like, "Hey, I'm messing with time."
Yeah, and she didn't even ask then. Iris called her out.
Someone figured it out. Was it Sherlock or Cisco? It was just like, you're messing with the timeline. This episode was the one that made me officially come around to your "I hate Nora, she's a horrible character." It was just infuriating because this is one of those episodes that could have been solved very, very easily. The first time she goes back in time, be like, "Whoa, this thing just happened." Like,
yeah, I don't understand
any one of.
Yeah, and this is my thing with Nora and her big secret about, working with Wells Dawn. Is there's no reason for this to be a secret. This is like a reoccurring trend with her, and it's infuriating.
The entire time that this episode's going on, I'm like, the answer to this problem is just to talk to somebody about it. And then it happens where, like, they solve the problem, and the answer was just to talk to somebody about it.
And the thing is, Nora is not like William's age on Arrow. Like, she's not like a tween or a young teen or anything like that. Like, she is old enough to know, to know better than this. It's not like she's a young teenager that's worried about, is scared to death that she's going to get in trouble with mommy and daddy. There's no reason.
Right, and it's not like she has to hide the fact that she's going back in time, because for all that she knows, going back in time doesn't do anything. Barie gives her the Jay Garrick speech at the end of this episode.
Yeah.
Which I did like him, reiterating the Jay Garrick speech with the mug. But again, and this is something we've spoken about before, probably, I don't think we've spoken about on the show, but there are consequences to time travel, but only on the Flash.
Yes, yeah.
Because the legends have no consequences, and they mess with time every week.
Well, there'd be no show if Legends had to deal with the consequences that the Flash does when there's time travel.
Right. I mean, like, the Legends go back in time and, like, selfishly try to change the timeline pretty much every 3 or 4 weeks. One of them does it. I think they even made a joke after Constantine did it, where Z was just kind of like, "Hey, welcome to the team. You selfishly tried to change the timeline for your own means." And that's exactly what Barie did with Flashpoint. But when Barie did it, it caused all these problems. But when the Legends do it, they can usually just put it back together perfectly. Like, it's not like Diggle's kid should have swapped genders 8 times by now.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Yeah, so I mean, this episode, there really isn't much to say about this episode. I gave it a 6 out of 10.
Okay, I have something to say about this episode.
I'll go.
So a little thing that I thought was so weird is at the coffee shop. Why do they have drinks named after the villains?
I have that in my notes. Like, we don't have, like, you don't go down to, like, the local coffee shop and they're like, "Oh, I'll have the Ted Bundy, please."
Yeah, I thought that was so frigging weird that there was a Zoom and what was the other one? Was it a cicada?
There was a Zoom.
No.
There was a cicada.
Okay.
But there was also another one too. There was another villain drink too, and I was like, really? Like Zoom killed a lot of police officers.
Yeah, I thought it was the strangest thing in the entire world. Like, I understand the Flash. I understood the Kid Flash. Like, this makes sense to me.
Yeah, I mean, I'll have a decaf mocha Osama bin Laden, please.
Yeah, I don't get. It was so weird.
Yeah. I feel like this week more than any with both shows. I found myself trying to apply logic to it, but in today's day and age, I kind of demand that from the things that I watch.
Yeah, I agree. And by the way, I give this episode a 3.
Okay, I gave it a 6 out of 10 just because I wasn't as annoyed with it as the last one, and some plot things actually, did happen. So you want to move on to Arrow? Anything else you want to talk about with the class?
Yes, I think we covered everything.
Okay, so Arrow Season 7, Episode 12, Emerald Archer. So at first I got scared, and I actually did something I don't usually do because I don't like to leave things in the locker room. I texted you while I was watching this because I was like, oh, this documentary thing better stop. First of all, I honestly think Greg Berlanti was just like binging The Office recently and was just like, I want to do this on all the shows. Because he did the documentary style and he did Golden Face. So I thought the whole episode was going to just be the documentary. And thankfully it wasn't, but a lot of it is.
I mean, when the episode opened with the Warner Brothers studio bumper, I was very confused.
I thought my DVR made a mistake. I was like, what did this record? And then all of a sudden I see Captain Lance and I'm like, wait, what did it record? I mean, the one cool thing in this episode was we did get to see a lot of characters we haven't seen in a while. So we got to see Ragman, Thea, Sarah, Captain Lance. Why though, did they interview Barry Allen? What? Like, there's no... I get interviewing Thea, I get Captain Lance, I get the other vigilantes, but they don't know he's the Flash? I'm trying to find what I wrote about that, because I'm skipping ahead a little bit, but... And how about Renee?
The only thing I can think of...
Go ahead.
The only thing I can think of is because Oliver is, in on the thing, he was like, oh, you should interview Barry Allen. I don't know why he would say that.
And if I'm Barry Allen... because here's the thing. Curtis, for some reason, nobody realizes there are cameras in their face, with bright lights and microphones, because the mayor goes totally bitch mayor in front of the cameras, which no politician on earth is going to do. And then Curtis is like, what? I'm not Cisco. Yeah. So if I am the documentary crew, I'm like, well, there can't be that many people named Cisco. Let's find out. Oh, there's this guy, Cisco Ramon, who's also friends with this Barry Allen guy that they insisted we interview over in Central City, where there's lots of metahuman villains and the Flash. Yeah. Thank God these people aren't smart.
Quick question in Flash continuity. Everybody thinks Vibe is dead, but do they know that Vibe was Cisco, publicly?
No, it's not Arrow. Okay. There's still secret identities on that show. We're going to come back to this, and we're going to come back to this in 1 minute. We have to take a quick commercial break, but we'll be back with more Arrow after this.
Murder by the Gods from author William G. Collins is available today. Murder by the Gods is a mystery thriller set in the glorious past of ancient Egypt, when the son of the Scorpion King suddenly collapses after receiving a mysterious threat from the god Seth. The prince is convinced it is the gods who are trying to kill his family. Murder by the Gods is filled with adventure and romance in a kingdom that would become known as the Land of the Pharaohs. Murder by the Gods from author William G. Collins is available on Amazon.com today.
From some of today's best-selling, award-winning authors comes 22 page-turning tales, Cursed Lands.
Cursed Lands will lead you through one doomed world after another in a haunting dystopian urban fantasy.
Join the courageous as they battle for survival across worlds where fae, vampires, angels, witches, and more roam freely.
Cursed Lands is coming soon on AppleBooks, Kobo, and Nook.
Pre-order your copy for just 99 cents today. Channeling the Mothership is an exciting journey into the higher mysteries. Certified psychic medium and clairvoyant Jerry McDaniel's readings, writings, and messages have been received by thousands of people in more than 45 countries. These messages have been obtained by channeling his higher self. How does he do it? Is it a blessing or a curse? And what lay beyond the reach of your five senses? Channeling the Mothership. Explore the mysteries of the spiritual and the metaphysical. Channeling the Mothership by author Jerry McDaniel. Available on Amazon.com today.
From the imagination of author Kevin J. Kessler, the Rosinanti dragons are no more. They have fallen into the obscurity of lore. Now warrior Valentine Barie and Seraphina, a magically gifted princess, are on a mission to save the world of Terra. Together they must face the Rosinanti legacy and combat the greatest threat their world has ever known. In the end, who is stronger, the man or the dragon? Find out in Kevin J. Kessler's The Rosinanti series on Amazon.com today.
And now, back to your hosts, Kevin J. Kessler.
So, folks, we are still talking about Arrow Season 7, Episode 12, The Emerald Archer. Swan, they couldn't help themselves but put Diaz in the episode even for a second, huh?
Diaz...
Go ahead.
Diaz is in the main cast this season, so if he's not in the episode, he's still getting paid. So...
Why would you go for a documentary and interview Ricardo Diaz other than just be like, oh, I don't like the vigilantes. Oh, yeah, so William's back.
Yes, William's back, and I missed him.
Okay, so like William is like, well, they've shipped him away. They didn't let him come home for Christmas. It seems like they barely communicate with him, and then when he comes home, there's a camera crew in the living room.
Yeah. All right, so here's the thing. William was, like, super angsty and pissed off at the world in this episode, which I get. I totally 100% get.
This is the first time that teen angst in a show like this has not bothered me, because I'm like, this is deserved.
Yes, which I totally get it. It's justified. What I don't get is how Felicity and Oliver are like, what are you so upset about?
Right? Like how, like, come on.
Yeah.
It's insane to me. Like, when he threw that tablet at Felicity, like, stop trying to jerry-rig my crap, I was like, yeah!
Yeah.
Like, not only are you, like, the worst mom in the world, but, like, now, first of all, you're not his mom. You know, his mom blew up because of his dad. Secondly, you're installing like Trojans on his iPad now. Like, stop it, Felicity.
Yeah,
I wrote in my notes. He has every right to be pissed. The only problem is that the kid can't act, and he's just dead-eyed.
Yeah,
like. There's no emotion in his eyes. Like, when he came in and they were like, oh, my God, you've gotten so big. This could have been yet another one of those perfect opportunities to recast William. That we've discussed.
Yeah, but they're... And I don't fully understand it because Jack Moore, the actor that plays William, like, doesn't really do anything besides Arrow. So it's not like, you know, he has a big fan base that they're worried about upsetting. But yeah, no, they're like, this is William. no matter how bad of an actor he is, and no matter how clearly gay he is, to the point they have to write it into the episodes.
Oh yeah, totally. Which I found it funny when Renee when he goes over to Renee's house and he's like, I'll be in the other room cleaning my gun. I'm like, you have nothing to worry about here, Renee.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing.
I wrote, yeah, Renee clearly doesn't realize William's gay. Speaking of Renee, one thing that drove me absolutely crazy. Now remember, being a vigilante is a crime still. Like, we go to great lengths to discuss that in this episode. But Renee, to the documentary crew, is like, that's why I keep going out there, man. I'm like, you just admitted to committing a crime.
Yeah. I mean, Renee's a dumbass. I mean, there's no way around it. Yeah.
Like filming your crimes is probably the stupidest thing you can do. It's my favorite stupid criminal move. Don't get me wrong. The people that Snapchatted like, LOL, just robbed Dunkin' Donuts, and then they get arrested and wonder why. Like, Renee is that level of stupid.
Yeah. Yeah, he is.
You know what? Chimera. I really liked Chimera. I liked the whole concept behind a vigilante killer. or someone who's just obsessed with vigilantes and wants their masks as the trophies. I thought that was a neat idea. So I was like, oh, maybe this is the big bad. Oh, nope. They took care of this one and done. But I liked that. Well, first of all, I'm confused. Did he kill Ragman and Huntress, or did he just steal their masks?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I would assume based on the fact that we saw Ragman in the documentary. And didn't he say in the documentary he was no longer...
Yeah, because he's not. He doesn't have his powers anymore.
Right, yeah.
When he absorbed the nuclear blast, the Rags lost their powers. So maybe he just stole the
that's
masks.
right, okay.
I really did like that Chimera's entire justification was, I just wanted the masks.
Yeah, you would think there would be easier ways to go about this.
Right. Like replicas exist. In a world where they have, lattes named after genocidal maniacs, I'm pretty sure they sell Green Arrow masks at the local Party City.
Yeah. I have a question.
Okay.
All right. So, in a world where Oliver Queen is now part of the police force,
right?
Why does he still feel the need to dress up as the Green Arrow? And why do they allow him to dress up as the Green Arrow when he's going out on normal police business?
Well,
with
they
the rest of the police force.
They kind of allow him to operate independently, it seems, and I think he feels that the Green Arrow is important as a symbol, kind of like the way Batman is. So I get that. I actually don't have an issue with that. What I had an issue with is they're arresting Diggle and Curtis for vigilantism, but they're government agents. They are allowed to fight crime.
Yeah, I agree with that. I don't think that would have helped. Obviously, it didn't end up mattering, but I don't think it would have mattered.
Well, I mean, that was my thing. I'm like, well, just because they're wearing masks, they're still government agents. They still work for Argus. They outrank you. Renee should have been in jail, but
yes.
And then they're like, we're deputizing all of you guys into the Star City Police Force. Diggle should have been like, dude, I'm a high-level Argus agent. I don't need your deputy badge.
Yeah.
I like that the team is back together though, and I like that we have returned to the Arrow Cave, and then returned to the flash forwards with the Arrow Cave.
Yes.
I gave this episode a 6 out of 10.
I give this episode an 8 out of 10. I enjoyed both of these episodes that we're talking about today a lot.
Okay, cool. Honestly, I like the concept, but they make such stupid decisions. Cisco, talking about Cisco in front of the cameras, or interviewing Barie, or, things like that. I loved how Barie was just oh, no, I didn't know he was the Green Arrow. Oh, you think you know a guy, right?
Yeah, they were not, neither episode was a perfect episode, but I enjoyed them a lot.
Arrow Season 7, Episode 13, The Star City Slayer. I think it's cool that they went with a serial killer angle, probably to coincide with everyone's Ted Bundy obsession right now.
Yeah.
But when they're going through the house looking for the guy, I'm like, wow, they squeezed every horror movie trope into 5 minutes.
Yeah, they really did.
Power being out, the lightning, the jump scare, the I turned a corner, I think it's the villain, but it's actually my friend. Let's split up. Curtis, they're trying to be quiet and sneak up on this guy, and Curtis presses a button on the piano. I'm like, what are you doing? At that point, Diggle should have been like, nah, man, go to DC.
Yeah.
Are you going to miss Curtis? I think that's the first thing we kind of have to talk about, is that Curtis leaving the show.
Okay, so I have a bigger picture thing here that I thought was kind of weird, timing-wise. Was the fact that they wrote out both of their main gay characters in the same episode.
Very true. I mean, we still have grown-up gay William.
Yeah, we still have grown-up gay William, but they wrote out William, or young William, for all intents and purposes. And then they wrote out Curtis. And, who knows if either of those will stick, specifically Mr. Terrific. I don't know if that's going to stay.
Yeah.
But I thought it was weird to write out both. Because, we always talk about, inclusion in the Arrowverse and, how Greg Berlanti loves his LGBT characters and stuff. But so I thought it was weird to write out your two gay characters in the same episode.
Well, I know some people out there that are probably happy about it, because I literally had to scream at an actual comic book creator who tried to make the point to me that there's too many gay characters because only 2.4% of the population is gay. So, it's weird to have too many in one place. And I was like, what? And honestly, the only reason I'm not putting this guy's name and his comic books on blast right now is because he's so inconsequential to me that I literally don't remember. But, I couldn't believe that those words came out of someone's mouth. Maybe Greg Berlanti is listening and was just like, you know what? You're right. 2.4% of the population. I got my numbers way off. The ratio is completely the rainbow ratio is completely skewed. So did you cheer like I did when William called in the grandparents?
Yeah, I was like, William is like my guilty pleasure on these shows because he's such a bad actor that I can't help. But yeah, I mean, I would love nothing more than the fact that they made a point to say that he's moving to Central City for him to pop up periodically on The Flash.
Oh my goodness. I also loved the fact that what do you call it? Like William, I love how Oliver is so shocked that William doesn't want to live with him. I'm like, at no point in your relationship with this child has he ever expressed any kind of like for you even like a kind of like you're an okay guy. I mean, since he's moved in, since the island exploded, it's been like, hey buddy, screw you, Dad. That's been the basis of their relationship. We will touch on William's SOS to his grandparents more when we come back from commercial break right after these words.
Devarius has lost everything. His parents murdered, his sister kidnapped, and the new village he called home destroyed. The Dragonia Empire is out of control, destroying anything and everything in their path, searching for the Resistance. Devarius is left with no choice but to find the Resistance, join them, and hope he can help them defeat the Dragonia Empire once and for all to bring peace to the land of Keldroga. Dragonia, Rise of the Wyverns, Dragonia Empire Volume 1.
The Rite of Wands. One boy, one rite, and a world of deadly secrets that could change the course of history forever. It's time for The Rite of Wands by Mackenzie Flohr. When a horrible fate reveals itself during the Rite of Wands ceremony, Myrda must find a way to change his destiny. Forbidden from revealing the future, he is granted a wand and magical powers in order to save himself and those he loves. But Myrda is not the only one with secrets. The Rite of Wands by Mackenzie Flohr, available on Amazon.com now. Famous Faces and Funnies in Melbourne, Florida is leading the way in pop culture fun. From comic books and graphic novels to Funko Pops and collector's items, Famous Faces and Funnies has it all. Rick Shea and the professional team at Famous Faces and Funnies are friendly and knowledgeable. Whether you're looking for toys, props, collector treasures, or a new comic book, Famous Faces and Funnies is your one-stop shop. To find Famous Faces and Funnies on Facebook and Twitter, just type at FFF Comics.
This is Cosplay Michael with the Hanging Out Club Show. I want to tell you about my friends at Embellish Effects in Orlando, Florida. They've got makeup, costumes, and props for all of your costume needs. And the team at Embellish Effects is helpful and friendly. Embellish Effects is one of my favorite places, and I know it will be yours too. I'll see you there. Or go to embellisheffects.com. And remember, cosplay is for everyone.
And now, back to the Watchtower.
And we're still back and talking about Arrow and talking about William creatively solving his problem with 3 words: "Save me, Grandma." When the grandparents when the grandparents came over and were like, "Yeah, we're gonna take him from you," and Oliver's like, "No," I'm like, "Come on, dude, think about this for 2 seconds." Like, first of all, when they're like, "William," like after he gets expelled, they're like, "William, we want you to come live with us full time." I'm like, "Well, yeah, where else is he going to go? He got expelled from the boarding school that you shipped him off to. So what's the difference between him being at the boarding school and being home or being with his grandparents? Either way, it's the same kind of thing that you just had happening."
Yeah. And so, all right. So there's a scene in this episode where Oliver, Felicity, and William all get drugged and are, like, paralyzed.
Yes.
So I know we've touched on the fact that, you know, you can't just call Barie whenever there's a problem. But the fact that their home security system, that the solution to this problem wasn't, "Alexa, call the Flash."
Right. Or like alert Team Arrow. Or alert the police. Like, you have a security system that literally reads people's DNA when they approach the door. How did
except for when the bad guy approached the house. Somehow it missed him.
Well, no, because he cut the power. So, like, all you have to do is cut the power, which, let's be honest, the Wet Bandits could do that. Like,
my home security system has a battery backup. I like to think that Felicity's does.
You'd think, but apparently Felicity's just terrible at her job. When they were walking through Stanley's House of Horrors and they found the jumpsuit, I'm like, "Oh, it's going to be Stanley. That's awesome. Maybe he's the big bad this season." But no. One and done. Every interesting villain that pops up, they're just like, "Nope."
I'm shocked that he was a one and done, because they spent so much time earlier in the season building him up that I assumed he was going to be like the big bad once he reemerged.
Yeah, and I think like having a serial killer as the big bad would have been really cool for Arrow. It would have been like a total departure from like the normal like person trying to destroy the city. Like if it's just like it's a more deeply personal feud, and it does away with the whole like, hey, for the 7th year in a row, somebody's going to try to destroy Star City in May. Like batten down the hatches, everybody.
Yeah, and here's my thing: if they really wrote out Curtis for good, why not kill him? Why not have Stanley kill him instead of fake killing Black Canary?
Which I didn't even blink at.
No, neither did I.
But I do think that like maybe next week she might not have her powers because of it.
Yeah, I mean that would be something, but I mean I hope there's some kind of repercussion for it.
My favorite part of this is when Oliver turns to Felicity and just goes, "Do you think he's better off away from us?" Yes! A serial killer just paralyzed you and held a knife to his throat in your home with your security system. Yes, he's better off away from you.
And it's not the first time this season that somebody has broken into their house
and almost killed Williams. And last time it was the villain to end all villains, Ricardo Diaz. So let's talk about the Flash. God.
No, I was going to say, that's why there's not a big villain this season, because you can't outdo Diaz.
Right, of course.
They might as well pack up and go home at the end of the season, because you're not going to top Diaz.
Absolutely. It's big shoes to fill. So they dropped Dante. They dropped his name again. And he's apparently working with Virgil, which I'm just like, well, good for Virgil. I'm glad he's found some work outside of the Olive Garden.
Yeah.
That's a wrestling joke for those of you that don't get it. Like, I'm glad Lonely Virgil has some company finally.
Yes.
Hey, Dante, you want a polio roid? Okay, so flash forwards, we got. So here's my problem with the flash forwards. It was my same problem with flashbacks for a couple seasons. Is they're infinitely more interesting than what's happening in present day, and I get frustrated when we only spend the equivalent of like 3 minutes per episode there.
If that.
Yeah. So we got some new news this week. Felicity is alive, and Black Star is her daughter.
Yes.
I don't know if that means she's Oliver and Felicity's daughter, or if Felicity, infuriatingly cheated on Oliver at some point, which I wouldn't put it past her. I would say that infidelity is probably the next step in the Oliver Felicity saga.
Yeah, I would agree. By the way, I didn't realize until we just started talking about secret family members now that we went 2 more episodes with no Emiko at all.
Oh no, Emiko was in the documentary one for like a second.
Oh, okay.
Chimera steals her mask and then like hurts her, and she goes away, and she has that conversation with Renee, where she's like, "By the way, I'm Oliver Queen's sister," and he's like, "Oh, okay."
Oh, that's right. Okay, yeah. But she wasn't in the second episode at all, right?
No, not at all.
Okay.
So yeah, I liked the Star City Slayer. I am. I was really afraid that William was going to choose Oliver's house at the end. Like that should have been the nail in the coffin right there. Like, a serial killer almost murdered me. I'm gonna go live with Grandma.
Oh yeah.
Now.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna miss him, but for a character standpoint, it makes no sense for him to want to stay there.
I gave this episode a 5 out of 10.
I will go with a 7.5.
Okay, you're much more generous than I was this week.
Yeah.
So we have a little bit of time here at the end. I wanted to briefly discuss this 2-hour-long commercial for Legos that I saw the other day.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, so it was a 2-hour.
Awesome.
It was a 2-hour commercial for Legos that involved a lot of celebrity voices and some cameos. I feel like I've watched a 2-hour commercial for Legos before, but I didn't quite realize that it was a 2-hour commercial for Legos. But this time I was very aware of it. Complete with a catchy song that the whole point is it's supposed to get stuck in your head that I couldn't sing back for you now if you had a gun to my head. But I did like... we're talking obviously about the Legos. What?
This song's going to get stuck in your head. Yeah.
Is that how the song went? Because...
Yeah.
I actually did like the movie, but like it was so a commercial this time around. But the reason we talk about the Lego movie here on this show is because it features characters from DC. I felt like Batman was a little wasted, but if they're making another Lego Batman, which I hope they do make another Lego Batman movie, even though, because I don't think you're getting another Lego movie.
Yeah.
Because it bombed.
I wouldn't say it's bombed. Bombed is harsh. I mean,
it came in like 20 million below projections.
Yeah, but I think at the end of the day, it's still going to be very profitable for them. Here's the thing. I love the first Lego movie. The first Lego movie is probably in my top 10 movies of all time. Yeah. And I've seen the Lego movie 2, the second part, 3 times already in theaters.
Wait, you've seen the second one that many times?
Yeah.
Okay.
I saw the first one 7 times in theaters. I saw Lego Batman 4 times in theaters. Ninjago I only saw once. But that I fully admit that movie was not made for me.
I never saw Ninjago. But
yeah,
apparently that's the one we don't talk about. So
yeah. And I've seen this one 3 times in theaters so far. But, yeah, I mean, I enjoyed it. Like I said, the first one is one of my favorite movies of all time, and this one doesn't reach that point at all. But at no point did I suspect that it was going to be as good as the first one.
No.
I mean, that was like a once in a lifetime thing, and it would be really hard to hit that standard again. But I enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah, I can totally I could totally see that perspective of it. Again, it's one of those movies where you have to not apply logic to, because like sometimes it feels like it's truly like an imaginary thing going on in a teenager's or a little kid's mind, and other times it's just like, oh, it's like affecting the real world. So what's going on? I also loved how Will Ferrell was like in it but not in it.
Oh, he literally phoned in his performance. Like, people have used that expression before, but I think he literally did in this case.
Yeah, no, I absolutely. I did like at the end he dropped the honey, where are my pants?
Yeah, yes.
But yeah, I liked it. I didn't dislike it at all. So yeah. Apparently, I've just been handed a note from our production staff that there's a crossover animated movie in the works for Batman and the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yes, I saw this announcement a couple days ago.
Is this a Lego thing, or is this like just an animated DC film?
No, it's being done by the same people that do all the animated DC movies.
Oh yeah, no, I'm looking at a screenshot right now. Okay, this is kind of cool. Which version of the Turtles is it though?
It looks like it's a version like completely original to this. At least the voice cast is completely original to this, because I saw Darren Criss is going to be playing Raphael.
Interesting. That's the Harry Potter the musical guy, right?
Yes.
Interesting. Okay. The and also the Doom Patrol series is going to be debuting soon on the or actually I think it debuts tomorrow. Yeah, it debuts tomorrow on the DC All Access, quote-unquote All Access DC streaming service. I liked Titans. I know you haven't watched it yet, but when you do, I definitely want to discuss it on the show. They do introduce the Doom Patrol in there, and I'm looking forward to seeing what they do with it. I don't like DC All Access, though. The strange thing is that I still haven't subscribed to DC All Access. They don't have everything. Like, it's not all access.
Yeah. I might break down and do it, depending on how people say Doom Patrol is. But I really don't like that it's a streaming service where they release the shows weekly.
Yes.
Like, if Titans all came out in one batch, like it does for the rest of the world.
Right.
Because everywhere outside of America, Titans is on Netflix.
Right.
I probably would have been more inclined to subscribe, because what happens is I say, I'll wait until all the episodes come out, and then I'll subscribe and binge it. And that hasn't happened yet with Titans. But if people say that Doom Patrol is really good, then I might finally break down, subscribe, and check out both shows.
All right, well, that's going to do it for the Watchtower this week, folks. Swan, thank you for joining me. So if you want more information on Swan's professional wrestling territory, the UWA Elite, check him out over at UWAelite.com, where you can also subscribe to the UWA Elite Network for just $6.99 per month, which you have access to all UWA Elite content. How far back does that go, by the way?
It goes back to, I think it goes back 8 years.
So am I on it then?
Yes.
Cool. All right, I might have to subscribe then, because I only look at things that I'm in. And folks, for me, check me out on Twitter at Kevin J. Kessler, or Facebook.com/Kevin J. Kessler author, where you can find links to all of my books. Rosinanti, currently book 1 is at 99 cents on Amazon. So, folks, for Dave Swan, my name's Kevin Kessler. Special thanks to you guys over at the Hanging with Web Show for producing the show. We will see you next week. Watchtower offline.
Watchtower is offline.